You know that feeling, right? You've got the perfect lesson all planned out, and then a disruption throws everything off track. Well, today, we're going to build a practical toolkit for your classroom management, packed with strategies you can literally use tomorrow. Let's jump right in.
Okay, so the core idea we're starting with is actually pretty simple, but it is so important. Learning just thrives when students feel like their classroom is orderly and safe. That feeling, that perception, it's the bedrock of everything we do as educators. Which, of course, brings us to the big question, the challenge every single teacher runs into. When things do go off the rails, how do you get them back on track without totally losing the momentum of the lesson or, the respect of your class?
And that's exactly where our toolkit comes in. We're about to open it up and look at a whole range of strategies, everything from a tiny, subtle nudge all the way up to system-wide plans that will help you respond effectively and, most importantly, fairly. Right, so first things first, before we get to the tools, we've got to set the foundation. A well-managed classroom really starts with making sure everyone is speaking the same language.
So let's get on the same page with two really key terms, rules and procedures. Think of it this way. Rules are the what. They're the general expectations, like be respectful. Procedures, on the other hand, are the how. They're the step-by-step guides for how to do specific things, like turning in homework. You've got to be crystal clear on both.
All right, let's get into level one of our toolkit. I want you to think of these as your first line of defense, the quick, quiet, and super discreet things you can do for those small disruptions without having to stop the entire class. So, tool number one is the verbal cue. Super simple. It could just be saying the student's name in the middle of a sentence, or quietly walking over and asking something like, "Is what you're doing helping you focus right now?" See, the goal isn't to shame them, it's just to gently pull them back to the task at hand. Okay, now for a really powerful one that uses absolutely no words at all. The pregnant pause. It's simple. A student is off task, so you just stop talking. You turn and look at them, and you wait. That sudden silence, it does all the work for you. It puts a spotlight on the behavior, and usually, that's enough. But, and this is a huge but, you have to be careful with this one. The pause is powerful, for sure, but if a student is acting out specifically to get attention, well, this strategy gives them exactly what they want. It can totally backfire. So you've got to read this situation and be ready to pivot. And the last tool in our subtle nudge category is the good old nonverbal cue. We're talking about making eye contact from across the room, or just casually walking over and standing near a student's desk. Maybe a quick head shake or a finger to the lips. They're silent, but wow, are they effective. Okay, but what happens when those subtle nudges just aren't cutting it? Now we're moving up to level 2 of our toolkit. This is where we get into clearer, more direct consequences for those behaviors that just keep popping up. Tool number 4 is the timeout. But look, it's not just go to timeout. It's a whole graduated process. You start with a clear warning. If the behavior continues, maybe it's an in-class timeout. Still no change? Then maybe an out-of-class timeout. But here's the most important part. To come back, the student needs an action plan. They need to tell you what they're going to do differently. That part is crucial. And check this out. This is a brilliant one. Our next tool is called overcorrection. The whole idea is that if a student makes a mess, they have to leave the environment even better than it was before. So you draw on one desk, you're cleaning all the desks. You run in the hallway, you're going to practice walking up and down it correctly a few times. It's a logical consequence that really connects the action to the repair. All right, now for our final level. This is where we bring out the heavy-duty tools. These aren't just about what one teacher does in their classroom. These are about creating bigger, collaborative plans for the most challenging behaviors. First up in level 3 is the group contingency. Basically, the whole class is a team. Everyone wins together or no one does. You might have seen this with things like the marble jar. When it's full, the class gets a reward, or a mystery motivator. This is awesome because it creates positive peer pressure and this real sense of shared purpose. Next, we've got the home contingency plan. And this is all about partnership. It's where you, the parents or guardians, and the student all sit down together. You identify the target behaviors and agree on a set of consequences that will be enforced both at school and at home. It creates this powerful, unified front. And finally, there's a critical safety tool, the high-intensity plan.
Look, this is your break glass in case of emergency plan. It's a pre-planned, step-by-step response for those very rare moments when a student's behavior becomes truly out of control. Having a plan ready means you can stay calm and de-escalate the situation safely for everyone involved.
So we've looked at all these individual tools. We've got our subtle nudges, our firm resets, our big collaborative plans. Now let's talk about how you weave all of this together to build your own master plan. Because a truly great disciplinary plan isn't just a menu of consequences. It's built on a foundation of strong relationships with your students. It requires what experts call witness, that teacher spidey sense where you're just aware of everything happening in the room. It has clear, predictable consequences, and it absolutely has to include a plan for those high-intensity moments.
And this is really what it all boils down to. The ultimate goal of this entire toolkit, of all these strategies, isn't about punishment, not at all. It's about getting to a place where your students would describe you as being fair and being consistent. That's it. That's where true respect is built. So, as we wrap this up, I'm going to leave you with one final question to chew on. Think about it from their seats, from their perspective. What does a fair and consistent classroom actually look like and feel like to your students?